to see this urban forest. It's a thriller. And one question one would like to ask you is, what motivated you to create an urban forest in Kumba?
Kevin, first of all, thank you for coming to my office today. I would like to tell you that my motivation to create this forest is directly linked with my own upbringing. I am from Atibon village in Manu division. Atibon is in dense tropical forest. I spent a lot of my life before adulthood in the village. And the forest in Atibon represents everything to us. It represents our entire livelihood. I grew in the forest and I survived thanks to the resources from the village. And when I had the opportunity to make an investment in Kumba, I felt that one thing that's lacking, not only in Cameroon but in Africa, is this notion of creating a forest within a town. I love forestries, and in short, I created this urban forest in Kumba to satisfy firstly my own personal ambition. I didn't care about what the public or third parties will appreciate concerning the forest. So it was made to satisfy my personal ambition.
And when you were going on now to this project, what kind of plants did you have in mind that you were going to put there? The kind of plants you were seeing in Atibon?
In a way, yes, and in a way, no. When I started legal practice, I happened to be very involved with companies at the time who were involved in forest exploitation, especially companies from Malaysia and from Thailand. Through my work with these companies, I came to know that there's actually a difference between just the ordinary trees you see and the export trees. I was able to learn those export trees that are valuable. And in my decision to create this urban forest, I decided exclusively to plant trees which have economic value, or we can say trees that can be exported. And to finish your question, which are these economic trees that can be exported? When you go to my forest, you get trees like bobinga, you get trees like sapele, you get trees like paduk. Paduk is what you call camwood, the redwood. You get trees like ebony, you get trees like wenge, you get bete, you get tali, you get pakiloba, you get ayos, and you get trees like bilinga, and of course azobe. And I want to tell you that these trees are not just clustered in one area. What is very, very interesting to know is that you have Cameroon forest basin. Trees are like distributed. Some of the trees you find in Manfe, you will not find them in Kumba or in Yabasi. So in my effort to create this urban forest, I had to collect trees from Manfe, some from Kumba. I had to collect trees from Nanga Eboko, from Yakoduma, from Baturi and all that. For instance, Baturi and all that, they used to have a lot of duché. Whereas in Manfe you have a lot of ebony, the black wood, you have some of the paduk, the camwood, and then you have a lot of azobe. Azobe, they use it to make railway sleepers and all that. And when you go to my forest, you see, I planted a lot of what you call wenge. Wenge is that tree that they use the pulp to make paper money. I don't know why they still use it again, but that is the use of wege. And that's why in Cameroon today, I know that there are some of these species whose exploitation has been prohibited. You don't catch it just anyhow. There's specific regulation that you must follow to be able to get a piece of that wood to export out of Cameroon.
So how did the project now take off? You've gotten a tree species from Betua, from all other places. The land was there in Kumba. How did it take off?
It was actually a tedious process, in the sense that trees sometimes are like human beings. When you get a small bobinga tree from Nanga Eboko or from Minta, you drive over, bring in Kumba, open air, the environment is no longer the same. So when I collected all the trees I brought to Kumba, it was a question of a renewal process, in the sense that some of them, or I can say, were shocked by the environment and they withered and died. And I had to repeat until I got the forest as you see it. So the whole process for the forest to be stable, it took me more than 10 years to do that. I was always doing replanting and getting new trees and all that. So it's a very, very tedious process that requires extreme patience. Firstly, take note, you are spending a lot of money. You bring the trees there, you plant them, some do well, some don't go, you have to repeat. I remember that I used to get people to go to Yakuduma, to Nanga Eboko, to Batuli, and a species, for instance, Bubinga. One little tree you buy for 12,000, for 8,000. A tree like Bete, you buy Bete, one tree for about 5,000. You do that, you have to hire a vehicle to bring them. And if you are lucky, you may retrieve about 75% of what you bought. So it was an expensive and tedious exercise.
It was this tedious. You were doing it alone. But did you acquire any expertise from people of forestry and so on in this process while you were setting up the forest?
Yeah, from the very beginning, I didn't want to associate government officials in the project. I have my own personal opinion about government officials. This is not the right place for me to give you my opinion about it. I decided to do it on my own, based on my little knowledge about farming in general. And then I got local labor in Kumba to clear the place, to do mulching and all that. The little things I used to take, how do you call it, the crumbs from the cones.
Yes.
Palm oil cones and all that to put around. That's just ordinary knowledge that I gathered in my village as a child. And village government people started coming in now when the forest was of a certain age. I saw people from the Ministry of Forestry coming into that place to ask me questions about 7 years after I started. Well, it's not their fault anyway. I didn't go to them for anything. Like I've said, I have my own opinion about it.
And when they started showing this interest, like I was going to find out, what was the response of the administration and response even of the public? Some people who, by one way or the other, might have stumbled into the forest.
The response from the administration was really different from the response from the public, like I can say observers. For example, when the officials from the Ministry of Forestry came there, the first thing they were very surprised. They were shocked that an individual could conceive such an idea. At the end of the day, they were very happy, and they told me that they were going to get this thing report to their ministry in Yaoundé. Of course, which they did, because once in a while, before the crisis, I used to see government officials coming to visit the place. And in one of the occasions, Kevin, the government people told me, well, Mr. Etta, fine, you have made this forest, but you know that today this forest is a public utility. You are not just going to deal with the trees the way you like. I said, well, I understand that very well. All I want from them is to come and give me technical advice That's what I need from them. I don't need any financial assistance. I don't have a lot of money, but I don't believe in getting money from government. They need that money. They need that money to do more important things elsewhere. Yeah, and then from the public, or each time an observer comes or some passerby comes, they are very marveled. And you see people come there, they use bubinga in their homes, bete in their homes. They have never seen a live tree. And that is where the pleasure comes. And a lot of them come, they encourage me, and they are just marvel that I'm able to spend that type of money. I'm able to pay attention, spend my time for things that I may not directly benefit. For an investment that I'm not even sure my children will benefit. Why do I say so? Because for a bubinga tree or any forest tree to mature, it takes a minimum about 75 years. So when people go and cut trees around them in the forest, you should measure the magnitude of the destruction that they are causing. I don't want to come about issues like climate change, that's not my business. But when you cut a tree, and even if you were to replant, you should know that you are going to wait for another 75 or 100 years. I remember a high-level official of CRTV asked me this question, Mr. Eta. You say it takes about 75, 100 years. Why are you planting these trees? And I told him, look, it is just my pleasure. The pleasure I derive from seeing these trees grow. And at least I'm lucky that I planted these trees. I've seen them grown to a certain level. Sometimes you do a thing like this, and by the time the first leaf sprout, you are gone.
Yes. So when you look at all of it and the period that you took to get to this point, it must have been, Barrister, a very huge financial investment. How did you handle it financially?
It's a difficult question to answer. When you say financial investment, yes, but it is generally very difficult to put a price tag to personal pleasure. I cannot tell you that I spend 1 franc or 10 franc or 20 franc. The truth is that I spend money.
Yes.
I don't know how much I spend. Because the pleasure I derive from that forest cannot be measured in monetary terms. That's all I can tell you.
So, knowing that the way you talk about it is a passion, but what does the forest really represent to you today? What does it stand for you today?
Kevin, I told you initially that I'm basically a village boy. This forest represents, I can say, my life. Forget about this law we're doing. We're doing law to make a bit of money, but my pleasure is elsewhere. And I want to tell you that when I'm in Kumba, I get into my forest, sometimes with a secretary to do some pruning, I can spend a whole day in that forest. I want to touch every tree before I go out. And if you permit me, I'll tell you a little story. One day, I remember it was a Saturday, I got to Kumba, got on my boots, got my gloves for my secretary. As I went to the forest, somebody came to look for me. And one of my staff told the person, look, please, you go, better come in the afternoon, because he's just gone to the forest, it will take a lot of time. I said, he cannot be there for 1 hour. And the person was surprised that I got out, I was coming into the place around 5 p.m. I'm in the forest, I only call, say, bring me water. They bring me water, I drink, I keep going. And when the man saw me, he said, man, what's the problem? What do you really want? So I told the man that, well, you are not a farmer. The day you are a farmer like me, you will come to know the pleasure you derive by being within nature. It's not something I can describe to you in words. So the pleasure is always enormous when I'm there. And I want to tell you another story again. In this my law office, generally the people have noted that every Monday, the man who comes in really very fresh is me, because I spend my weekend in the forest. And I tell them that It is because Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Friday, I live within nature. That one makes me to be fresh and happy.
The forest is there, as I said again, is your passion. You love seeing it, but you might be having some ideas of how the public could also benefit from such a place. How do you, any future plans, or do you have any plans like how the public, could also, because it's such a mature place now, any future plans on how the public and the world at large can benefit from there?
The next thing I'm going to do in that forest, it may sound a little painful. I'm going to eliminate some less important trees. I want to create some open spaces there where people can organize outdoor parties. I want to organize other places there where people can come and just relax, read newspapers, just gaze around nature, and you go and sleep. Those are my plans for the future. And again, when you say the other plan is that I know that I'm going to die one day. That is sure. And my greatest wish is that children should come there Saturday, Sunday, play around, ride bicycles, make a lot of noise. And maybe better around the corner. And when that noise comes, that's what will give me pleasure. And some of you say eternal rest. I prefer eternal pleasure. But I don't know eternal rest.
So if there were a message you send out, because there are some people who have those opportunities to grow trees and so on, but yet, they are not intensively, attached to it. If there was a message to other people who are farmers who love agriculture, love pleasure, love nature like you, what could be this advice?
Firstly, I would like to tell people that when you get involved in agriculture in whatever form, it will always be beneficial to a human being. Maybe yourself, your immediate entourage, or just the community. So my advice to other people is that you make money, yes. As far as you can, you should invest some in agriculture. It pays for you to plant a tree, even in front of your own building. Yeah. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. Yeah. If you can do something large scale, of course, you do it. And I want to tell you, Kevin, that quite apart from this urban forest, I also took delight in planting what you call bush mango. I have about 75 hectares planted. But for the crisis, I would have gone, my ambition was to build about 400 hectares of that. Those are things I might not even benefit, but it gives me pleasure. Like somebody asked me a question one day. I told him that, gentleman, I spend my own money planting trees. You spend your own, you go to the nightclub, buy Renal, you drink, you are happy. But your own happiness is just ephemeral. I plant my tree every day, other new leaves sprout, they give me pleasure. My own pleasure probably is permanent and eternal. That's the difference between the two pleasures.
Yeah, but